Okay.
The intro, go grab Connerly and Buxton.
Okay. Right? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Richard Burke. I'm the Executive Director of the Libertarian Party of Oregon. And we come here today to present a proposal for PERS restructuring. The purpose of this proposal is to provide citizens with an economically honest alternative in the event that the legislature fails to make the fundamental changes needed to rid the state of Oregon of the $15 billion liability that the PERS program currently represents to us. At present, legislative efforts have largely been at the margins of the problem. The PERS mortality tables, which everybody has heard about, is very important, but it doesn't deal with the root of the problem. The root of the problem can only be addressed through a fundamental restructuring of the public employee retirement system. Just a few moments ago, a presentation sponsored by the Cascade Policy Institute was made, featuring Bill Connerly, who is one of the governor's economic advisors. And he has put together a series of proposals that is the outline of our plan. That plan will be expressed to you today by Tom Cox, who chairs our Shadow Ways and Means Committee and was our gubernatorial candidate for the 2002 election. We hope this plan will do a number of things. One, as I said, provide an economically honest alternative to provide citizens with a PERS reform plan in the event that the legislature fails to make adequate structural changes. But second, to provide the legislature itself with an incentive to do something significant. They may or may not think our plan is too aggressive. If they do, one might say, we better do something with this, or else the citizens might turn to a more aggressive plan. While we have no problem with that, we understand the political realities. And so with that, I present to you Tom Cox, who will give you the details of our proposal.
Thank you, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, the outline of our proposal is simple, but I want to express to you why it is that we are here today giving this proposal. We believe that one of the problems the legislature has faced for many years now has been a relative lack of new ideas. And one of the strengths that has allowed libertarians to get votes and make a name for ourselves these last few years has been the fact that we have repeatedly come up with creative ideas to address the fundamental problems facing the state. We see that as a constructive role we can play as a party, even though, well, I didn't win the governorship, for instance. We still can't have some good and useful things to say to contribute to solving the problems of the state. There is a tradition in the United Kingdom of what's called shadow ministers. When one party is in power, they of course get all of the what we would consider executive offices, but the opposition party appoints shadow ministers who cover the same issues but from the other party's point of view. That gives them a chance to critique and come up with alternative proposals. We're taking the same approach here. We've got our own Ways and Means Committee made up of libertarians, and we're going to attempt to address all the same problems and issues the Ways and Means Committee of the House and the Senate are facing, but from a libertarian perspective. Today's proposal is the first proposal from our Shadow Committee. PERS is fundamentally and fatally flawed. The details of that were given yet again today by the Cascade Policy Institute with this proposal, or sorry, with this report they delivered. It is interesting but not surprising that the proposal we give today follows almost, but not quite, the same path that Bill Connerly laid out. Our PERS reform proposal is as follows. And these are the 6 steps that we believe need to happen in this order. Step 1, we must remove all members of the judicial branch from PERS. We must create a new judicial-only retirement system covering all judges in the state. This is the first fundamental step to restructuring the rest of PERS, because without this step, it will be impossible to find a judge anywhere in the state who does not have a conflict of interest ruling on an appeal. After step 1 is done, we can move on to step 2, creating a new defined contribution-only plan for new employees. Once this plan is in place, and we have the details of it here, we're calling it PEPRA. It is the Public Employee Personal Retirement Account. Once those plans are in place, we can go to step 3, to end PERS. The enabling legislation of PERS, in particular ORS 238.600, indicates that PERS can be ended by the legislature. And it says in statute that workers have a right to benefits to the extent they are funded. That means that the unfunded liability of PERS can be wiped clean by legislative action without violating anyone's contract. Once PERS is ended, step 4 is to take the assets of the current PERS system and use them first and foremost to protect all the current retirees. Everyone who is currently receiving retirement benefits from PERS must continue to receive the same benefits they are entitled to with updated mortality tables. Once those needs are taken care of, all the remaining assets will be rolled over into individual PEPRA accounts for current workers. That is step 5. Employees will, at that point, have a personal property right in their accounts for the first time ever. Once assets are rolled over into PEPRA accounts, they cannot be touched by the legislature. And step 6, ban all members of the legislature from ever receiving any public retirement benefit, and furthermore, prohibit any legislator from ever holding any public office created or the emoluments of which were increased during that person's term in the legislature. Now, our primary reason for delivering this proposal is because we were worried that the efforts to reform PERS in the legislature seemed to have slowed down, maybe even ground to a halt. And people were starting to wonder, well, if we don't come to an agreement, then what? And no one seemed to have an answer. So here's the answer. If you guys in the legislature, ladies and gentlemen, elected into office and charged with fixing PERS, cannot come to an agreement quickly, the public will have something to fall back on. And those who are dragging their feet and coming to the table with current negotiations, it's not going to be negotiate or continue to get the fat benefits and the fat promises of PERS. It's going to be negotiate now or face a very fundamental restructuring that you may like a little bit less. Ultimately, however, the PEPRA approach will be better for the state. It will protect taxpayers, it will protect workers, and it will protect current retirees. And if anybody tries to sell you anything less than that, well, here's a better offer. Thank you very much. We'll take questions at this time. Seeing no questions, thank you all very much.